Welcome, everybody, to your new favorite video game podcast, Get Some Games, episode 4. I'm your host, Sean, and I'm here, of course, as always, with Ben.
Hey, what's up?
What up? For those of you that don't know, this is a weekly video games podcast where we talk about all the biggest news that went on in the past week in video games, along with give our impressions or insights or lists of anything and everything video games. So, of course, if you like that idea, please subscribe right here on YouTube to get us in your YouTube feed every week, and follow us on Twitter at @GetSome_games so you know whenever we're streaming or doing anything. We'll always tweet about it on there.
Yeah.
So, we've got a ton of news for you guys. Nintendo had a great direct just last night. We're recording this on the 11th. On the 13th of November. Just last night, they had a great direct. We're going to break it all down for you, talk about some Fallout 4, and some October sales numbers. So, let's get right into it. Do you just want me to go over the news, or do you want to do a little bit of back and forth? So I'm not talking just the whole time.
So let's do the back and forth.
All right. I'm going to be using the GameSpot article.
Yeah, me as well.
Chris Pereira put together a fantastic GameSpot article where I of course, saw the direct, but I didn't take notes because I was at work and I had to very sneakily check in on it every few minutes. So we'll start with what I think personally is the biggest news, and Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess is getting an HD release on the Wii U.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I have the original Twilight Princess, but there's like a 30-45 minute long tutorial at the beginning of the game that just makes me not want to play it. And I know the game gets really awesome, but the fact that it has such a slow start is so discouraging. But maybe they'll fix a few of these things with the HD remake like they did with Wind Waker HD.
Yeah, like they added the fast sail so you can sail around the waters faster.
Yeah. So
people hated that part of Wind Waker back on GameCube.
Yeah. So that'll be really cool. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'm thinking I might get it, but I'm waiting to see what they change first.
I am actually a somewhat new Zelda fan. I've always liked Link to the Past. I had Link to the Past on NES, and I loved that game. Still do.
SNES.
Yeah, what did I say?
NES.
Oh, yeah, of course, on the Super Nintendo. But other than that, I've never really liked that many Zelda games. I know it's blasphemy, but I don't really like Ocarina of Time. I didn't like Majora's Mask, and I just never got into it. So I've never played Twilight Princess. And depending on when this game comes out, I might pick it up. I've heard some people say that it's their favorite Zelda game. I've heard other people say that there's nothing memorable about it at all. I think graphically it looks pretty dang close to the Wii version. It isn't that great or anything. I think the HD remake for Wind Waker did a lot more justice for it because Wind Waker's different.
Wind Waker already
graphic
looked
style
good. It held up, whereas Twilight Princess showed its age on the Wii. I don't think that this HD remake really looks that much better. Maybe I'd have to see side-by-side comparisons, but it still looks like the texture quality isn't that great. It doesn't look like the character models are that much better.
Yeah, that game, Twilight Princess, is going for the more realistic look, and on Wii, it's just doesn't look. No game looks realistic on Wii.
No.
So it's not a remake, so it's just a re-release or a remaster. So it still has that Wii feel, but obviously you can get over that after just 5 minutes with the game. And depending on when it comes out or how expensive it is, I'll probably be picking it up.
I think Wind Waker HD was $40 or $50, so probably somewhere around there.
Yeah. But Wind Waker, going back to what I was saying about not being a Zelda fan up until recently, I did pick up Wind Waker. I actually got Wind Waker for free when I got my Wii U, and I loved that game. So that helped me a little bit more. And Hyrule Warriors, which I know isn't at all a traditional Zelda game, but I really liked that game. And I'm very, very excited for Zelda Wii U, which they talked about very briefly. They confirmed that it is still coming to Wii U, and it is coming out next year. Very excited for that game.
Yeah, we got a whole 10 seconds of that.
Yeah, that's a glorious 10 seconds of that. And if the hype is there, then maybe Twilight Princess will help me even more become even more of a Zelda fan. and I'm sure it'll come out before Zelda Wii U comes out, just to keep that hype train going along.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this next game, the new one, is looking really good. I mean, from a graphical perspective, I really like where they're doing with the shading. Really, really heavy. I think it's cell shading, right?
Yeah.
Like really intense, and it looks good. And I think that's the way to do it. You can hide the blemishes of the rough textures that way.
And
So
you can you can take a game like Super Smash Bros looks beautiful on Wii U. It's obvious that the Wii U isn't like this crazy graphical powerhouse, but when you put that Nintendo charm on it and mess around with the art a little bit, like games like all the Mario games and now what they're doing with Legend of Zelda, it doesn't matter how good of a graphics card you have, you can still have this beautiful looking game.
yep,
And
it's
I'm
all
glad
about
that
the
they're
art
taking that
style.
route.
Because
Right.
graphics will age, whereas art style can hold up a game's graphics much better than a high resolution can.
Right. All right. Where do you want to go from there?
Well, um, before we get into what I would say is the second biggest news, Star Fox Zero has a confirmed release date of April 22nd.
Yes.
That's cool. I still think it should be a digital release game for $30, but you know it's not going to be that. So
Yeah, that game looks real sketchy.
it
I
looked
think.
it looked better this time than it did before, I think.
Yeah,
But
I think that game is gonna be a big disappointment.
well, I mean,
Like,
Star Fox is like a 3D arcadey shooter to begin with, and making it a full-fledged release seems odd to me personally. I know there's some people, but I think it's just such a niche audience. Like, it's probably one of their most niche franchises.
yeah, definitely.
So it's just odd to me that they would do this. Um,
Have they confirmed that it is a full release $60 game?
I think they've shown. I think I'm not actually not entirely sure now that you say that, but it, it's appearing that way.
Yeah, they haven't said otherwise, so I think it's safe to assume that it is a full release $60 game.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they would say
because they would
it's
temper
not.
people's expectations by being like, hey, um,
It's like a $20 or $30 budget title. But I think the game looks rough from previews that I've seen. It looks like it feels rough, but of course it's not out yet, so it's all like beta or like alpha builds or pre-alpha even. So of course they have plenty of time to make it look better. Maybe that's why it's coming out in April. I think it was originally slated to come out this year, but they pushed it back like half a year. So that gives them plenty of time to make it look and feel better and hopefully be the Star Fox game that Star Fox fans want.
yeah. I mean, Star Fox Command was the last Star Fox game that was really Star Foxy.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Fox Adventures was like a Zelda game with a Star Fox coat of paint, which I actually really like that game. But anyway, um, Star Fox N64 3D came out in 2011.
Yep.
I don't really count that as a new Star Fox game though, because it's just
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either.
an update. So I want to see how much Star Fox Command sold, because Star Fox Command was on the DS.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm curious to see how much this is going to sell because, like, it might be the outlier, but I always look to Splatoon when I think of sales numbers for Nintendo because, like, you would think maybe Nintendo had a very, very great marketing campaign for Splatoon.
Yeah.
And it sold over 1 million copies, and it showed that Nintendo really knew what they were doing with that. But maybe Star Fox or definitely has better name recognition, but I can't really imagine this game doing 1 million copies. But I would have said the same thing about Splatoon.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they're gonna market it just as good as Splatoon, or maybe Splatoon is definitely just a great game. So it also sold just from people saying it's a great game. You should go buy this.
Yeah. It's not a game I'm interested in, like, at all.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't. At least for now, I don't have any plans on picking it up either.
But I may pick it up with a price drop or something. But
Yeah.
I'm not interested in spending $60 on a game like Star Fox Zero. Personally, I'm sure there are people that are excited, and I'm glad that those people are getting their game.
Yeah,
But
especially in April. Like, March and April are always so stacked every year. Like Uncharted is coming out, and just like the big one right there is Uncharted, and then there's always just countless games that come out in those 2 months. So I can't imagine me personally picking up Star Fox in between everything else.
So Miyamoto apologized for the delay of the game. They said that they could release the game this year, but um, they wanted to polish it some more,
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, that's a great choice.
Also, Platinum Games is making it, which is important to note because they're really good developers.
Yeah, they have some bad games, but they've made more good games.
Well,
than
their
bad
A
games, for sure.
team, I don't think has any bad games. Their B team has like Legend of Korra and stuff, but
Yeah. Yeah, but they made Bayonetta 2. And for me, right there, that's like all you have to say because I adore that game. Bayonetta 2 was like a top 5 game of last year for me.
oh wow, I still need to pick
Or
it
wait,
up.
it came out last year, right? As soon as I said that, I thought, no, it came out in February, but that can't be right.
No, I think
Bay-
you're right. It came out in February this year.
This year?
Yeah.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
I
doing it.
hate looking up things in the middle of the show, but I gotta look this up.
No, it's
Or you-
okay.
or
it's
you
okay.
do.
We're a little more relaxed, so.
Yeah.
But its initial release date was last year, September 20th. So I'm gonna assume that you're right in assuming that it came out in February.
Do you think like it got delayed or something?
Oh
It probably
yeah,
did. I don't know.
Nintendo games always get delayed.
Yeah,
I
they
feel like
do.
you can just add a year onto whatever release date that they say.
But I remember when that game came out, and like people liked Bayonetta, and they were excited about this. But when it came out and it was getting 9s and 10s from everybody, I was like, "What? There's no way!" And then, but it's like I love that kind of 3D action game, like God of War, or Devil May Cry. So I picked it up just from word of mouth alone, and like I totally agreed with everything.
Yeah.
It felt and played amazing.
It's only sold 800,000 copies. But that said, I think the game probably. I mean, I don't think Platinum expects their games to sell quite as highly. So I think
Yeah, and it's a mature rated single player game on the Wii U. I think 800,000 is great for that game.
yeah. I mean, I think we need to get back to the point where selling 1 million copies is great. Like,
Yeah, you don't have to sell like we'll get into this a little bit more later, but Bethesda is saying how they've shipped like 12 million Fallout 4 copies. You don't have to sell 12 million to be considered a success.
yeah, like if you need to sell, like there used to be a time where selling 1 million copies was amazing, and I think with the increasing budgets, that's become not as good, which means we need to straddle our budgets. Anyway, I think I've said that every episode so far. The next piece of news.
Well, real quick, Bayonetta 2 came out October 2014.
Oh, okay, so they only delayed it a month.
Yeah, maybe I bought it in February. I don't remember.
That's
No,
probably
because
what
I bought it
happened.
the day it came out. Whatever. February just came out of nowhere. Then go ahead.
The next interesting thing is the release date and some information on Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yes,
Um,
I would agree.
I'm actually excited about that game. I got really excited for it when I first saw it, and then I got kind of disinterested when it was taking forever. But now it's coming out December 3rd. It looks amazing. Like the character models look iffy from last time I saw them, but the game world itself and like the mechs and stuff and the creatures and everything look really, really good. Like I'm kind of puzzled as to how they got it to look that good on the Wii U. But it might be because it's stylized, so that helps hide some things. But looks really good. You can customize your mech some, and it looks like you're able to use the mech more than they initially had let on. Before it seemed like you could only use it at certain points in the game, but now it looks like you can kind of use it whenever you want once you get it.
I never played Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii.
Neither did I, but that's supposed to be a great game also.
Yeah, I know people are people love that game, and that's why we're getting this X in the first place, just from like the high praise it got. But this is a game like what you were saying is, it's not like on the top of my radar, but I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I will be picking it up someday for sure.
Okay.
It was one of those games like it looks like it's story heavy for me, like it's an RPG, so of course it relies heavily on story. So for games like that where I know it's like so much relied on story, I just have a blackout on it. where I don't look into it. I know I'm going to get it, so I just stop looking up stuff, which I guess for the sake of this podcast is probably a bad idea because I don't have much to say on some things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Xenoblade is definitely going to be big, and I think it's great that we have another game coming out like that.
All right. Yeah, I completely agree. I'm glad we're getting it, and I'm looking forward to it. So before we get into more news, so they've announced more amiibos for January, the Wolf Link and stuff like that.
Yep, that's going to be coming out with or like they announced it with the Twilight Princess.
So being that amiibos are selling so well and they have 3DS and Wii U compatibility, they're probably going to be available for the NX also.
I hope so.
Now, does that give the Wii U, does that give the NX a likelier chance of backwards compatibility, or do you think that doesn't affect it at all?
I don't think it's going to affect it. I don't think that will matter one way or the other.
Okay. All right. So the next, personally, the next biggest thing I'm excited, before I get to the thing I'm most excited about, is Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow coming to 3DS, wireless-enabled versions of the games coming to 3DS. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. If I had a 3DS, I would pick up Pokemon Blue in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, I'm getting Yellow, no doubt. I mean, I love that game. Granted, I feel like they should just release Fire Red and Leaf Green, since those are almost strict upgrades in every respect. But
for the sake of nostalgia, I can see why they're doing Blue, Red, and Yellow.
There's a charm about those games that the newer ones don't have. It's really weird. Like, its glitches almost make it more endearing. Like, there's something, I always love finding a glitch in a game. And, like, I know that's just considered bad programming nowadays, but, you know, I miss cool glitches like that, like the Mew glitch and, like, all these different steps that you have no idea why they work, but they do.
Yeah, like the missing no glitch, like why talking to some random person in the second town and then swimming along the border of Cinnabar Island just spawns this random jumble of data.
Yeah, it's just like stuff like that's so cool, and it enriches the games in a weird way. So I'm pretty excited about that. Before we get to the main big piece of news we haven't talked about, is there anything else on the list?
Well, I don't know what your big main piece of news is. I know what mine is, but I don't know what yours is.
The Smash Brothers news.
Yes.
Okay, so and before we get into that, is there anything else?
Well, there's a lot.
That you are excited about?
Oh,
because I thought we could just run down the list.
Yeah. No, I want to talk about Smash.
All right, so covering the rest of the stuff, Mother 3 is getting a Wii U re-release, but only in Japan, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah, that's really lame.
So
that's got to be one of the most requested virtual console games.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go into two of these kind of together. Splatoon is getting a free content update soon. Oh, today. So I guess when the direct was on yesterday, on Thursday.
Nintendo, real quick, sorry to cut you off again, but Nintendo is like knocking it out of the park with Splatoon.
Yeah, they are.
They're doing everything right. They're like they had the beta, which I think really sold a lot of people on it, and it helped with like stability issues since everyone knows they're not the best company to run online games. The game runs great. It doesn't have any issues, which is unheard of for 2015. Like it's got the Nintendo quality stamp of approval on it. They have constant updates for it, free, and I think they have a couple paid things, but like almost all the content that's been putting out is free. It's been regularly updated, so many new maps and guns and characters, and they have the amiibos for it. Like, Splatoon is how you do a new IP perfectly.
Yeah, Zelda Triforce Heroes is getting free DLC in December also, which is, I wanted to bundle those in together to add that Nintendo is doing DLC really well. They're giving you some free DLC that's like substantial, and then they're also having some paid ones. So you don't feel like you're being ripped off. And even if I still am, I don't feel like I am. So
yeah.
And ultimately, I think you have to play to people's emotions. So that's really cool. I love how they're doing DLC. I think every other game company could take note. Because one thing that Nintendo has not done online the best, they haven't done the whole YouTube thing the best. They haven't done a lot of things right. The DLC is something they're doing really well, and I think companies should look to Nintendo as a example of how to do it correctly.
Yeah, people don't. Some people may have, at least they say they may have outgrown Nintendo, but no one looks at or talks about Nintendo like they do with EA or Activision or Ubisoft, where
Like with such like annoyance at their DLC policy.
yeah, like you're never gonna see Nintendo anywhere near a worst company list.
No.
Or I think EA was the worst company in America, or it might have been the world, but whatever. As stupid as that was, you're never gonna see Nintendo near that kind of list.
No.
Like people just don't look at them that way.
And granted, I think they should be on under more scrutiny for those types of things because they have had some anti-consumer policies, and that stems from I think some differences between how they sell games and market them here in Japan and then in America. I think it's just a lack of understanding of how YouTube works. Really, their whole YouTube policy is what irritates me the most because YouTubers already don't get treated that well in terms of content ID and things like that. But also, Nintendo just is compounding the problem.
Yeah, I don't think Nintendo realizes that Let's Plays sell games.
It's coming from a lack of understanding than I think it is from any sort of selfishness or maliciousness, though.
Yeah, I think they think that people watch Let's Plays instead of buying the game.
Yeah, which just isn't true. Sometimes that happens, but usually I'm like, oh, that game looks awesome. I want to get it. Actually, for example, I saw footage of Jak and Daxter HD remake online, and I'm like, I really want to play this game. Like, because I've played Jak and Daxter before, so that's part of the reason. But it made me, seeing that Let's Play motivated me to not only buy the game, but buy a PS3 just to get that. So
yeah,
I think that's anecdotal. That said, I think a lot of people feel that way. In that sense, they see a game and they want to play it.
Yeah, and I see it all the time, like for other like news outlets or personalities online. Like you see comments all the time where it's like, "This inspired me to buy the game, and I love it now," and all this stuff.
Yeah, so completely agreed there. Going back through this list, Pokemon Picross is a free-to-start game launching in early December. I'll probably check it out since it's free. Fire Emblem Fates coming into 2 different packages, and there's an $80 special edition. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, all the Fire Emblem games make me really wish I still had my 3DS.
What happened to it?
Oh, I sold it for a Vita. And I don't regret it.
Okay.
I know 95% of the internet just died after I said that.
I died.
But I don't regret it for a second.
No, I'm not. I don't like making people regret their financial purchases. It just feels bad. I feel especially bad when like a family member buys me a game, and then I don't end up playing it as much or enjoying it as much as I want to, because it's like they bought it for me, so it means something to them that they purchased it for me.
I have more games on my Vita right now than I would ever want on the 3DS combined.
I think it's pretty subjective what has a better...
easily.
But I think in general, the 3DS has more games on it that people would look to immediately as, like, that's why you want one. Like, they have the Zelda game. They have Golden Sun. They have, like, a bunch of stuff, the Pokemon games.
Yeah, the Vita versus 3DS will be a major topic of this show soon. I guarantee it. But just... when you say, like, why do you want a 3DS or why is the 3DS great, you can say, oh, it has Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, and everyone is instantly like, oh, yeah. And then when you think, why is the Vita great, you say because it has games that nobody's ever heard of, like Guacamelee or Resogun.
Well, Guacamelee isn't exclusive to Vita.
Yeah, I know, but it's on there. So, like, you think of games like that, where nobody's at, like, what the heck is Velocity 2X? Like, no one has ever heard of that game. But if you buy the Vita and go through its catalog and realize how many amazing games it has, and you, like, throw name recognition out of the window, then I think the Vita, like, has way more fantastic games on it.
No.
Yep.
I don't know about that. Comment below, let us know what you think. But, you know...
Yeah, comment on the video to let us know what you think. Vita versus 3DS. We're going to do the major topic, and I'm going to come with a huge list of fantastic games.
Oh,
and
I'll
challenge anyone to match it on 3D in terms of numbers.
In terms of numbers, but, you know... Okay. Or we'll get into it later.
Yep.
So Zelda Triforce Heroes is getting free DLC, which I'd mentioned already.
I think you've mentioned.
Hyrule Warriors Legends is coming to the 3DS if it hasn't already, and it's coming with it's getting several new characters, including a female version of Link, which is interesting.
Yeah. Hyrule Warriors for 3DS has been announced for a while.
Okay.
But this is obviously new information, the new characters and stuff like that.
So that's pretty cool. I don't have much to say about that. But
have they done a female Link in the past?
I don't think so.
Am I drawing a huge blank on that? Because that sounds like it's something that's.
It's just several new characters. I think this is a new thing. I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, because the Zelda timeline is all messed up, and like sometimes this happens, and Link is more of an avatar, not like a character. Like each Link is a different Link.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of. So I don't know if they've done a female Link before.
Yeah, I don't think it affects the personality of the character of Link in any sort of way by having a female version.
Yeah.
So I think having a female and male version people can choose from is great.
Yeah, because Link doesn't have a personality really.
Yeah,
he does, but
he does in subtle ways. But
yeah,
just having a female version, I think, is fine.
Yeah, you could have I'm sure you could go through every Zelda game and make Link a female, and you wouldn't really have to change that much.
Oh, I agree. Now I don't want them doing that with every character. Like, I don't want Samus to get a male version. That would just piss me off.
Yeah, like, we don't need any of this.
But that's because Samus is also more of a character, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's most of the stuff.
You didn't mention Dragon Quest 7, 8 3DS remakes.
I think it's interesting they're coming out with 2 Dragon Quest games next year, but
yeah, Dragon Quest is big.
Another big one, which is oddly enough not listed here, is Pokmon Tournament getting a spring release date, I think.
I don't think it has a specific date yet. I think it's just spring.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have a specific release date, but it has spring 2016.
Okay, yeah.
That's sweet. I'm getting that game for sure.
Oh yeah, that game looks awesome.
Like,
that's what I wanted Pokemon Stadium to be back on the N64.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a Pokemon game like this where I could control a Pokemon and just kick the shit out of other people with it.
Yeah, like Pokemon Stadium are some of my favorite games of all time. I love them so much. But I wish the combat wasn't the same as the RPG Pokemon games.
Yeah.
I want just your full control, like what this game is going to be. I can't wait for it. It's going to be so good.
Now, what would be the best is if we had a full like Pokemon adventure that had like a fighting style reminiscent to Pokemon Tournament. I don't think they'll ever do that because programming unique movesets for 600 some.
Yeah,
like I don't think that's realistic whatsoever. But if they had like a concentrated adventure and maybe pick like 50 Pokemon, 25, 30 Pokemon, where they could learn moves in the same vein as the original games, but have a fighting style reminiscent to like Tekken or something, that'd be cool.
Yeah, they could do it. They could do it like do 100 or so, like the WWE games. I know it's not the same thing, but the WWE game 2K16 has 126 characters in it, with unique movesets.
Yeah, I got boot. If you've ever played a Dragon Ball Z game, they have tons of characters, and granted, most of the characters feel pretty similar, but it'd be weird balancing with Pokemon with the type differences and stuff. But I think it's feasible, but just not with all 600 some.
I still want my
700 now.
I want my Skyrim Pokemon. If you want to give it the RPG style back and forth fighting, that's fine. But if you want to make the NX the biggest selling console of all time, you put a Skyrim Pokemon on there.
That'd be so dope. Oh man.
Whether or not it has the Pokken style fighting or the Pokemon Blue and Silver style fighting, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I want to, whether like not a 3D overhead perspective, but like a 3D behind the back perspective.
Yeah, or even a first person, like if you're the trainer, and I don't know. There's so many different ways that they can make the best Pokemon video game ever. And they always say they're not going to do it. They keep saying Pokemon is going to still be on our hand, but NX might be a handheld and a console. So like
see, the more we talk about the NX, the less I care about having to drop another $400 on it.
Yeah, I'm way super optimistic about NX. We don't know a thing about it, and in my head, I've got it to be it's going to be the best.
I mean, it could suck, but I don't think it's
Of
gonna
course.
suck. I think Nintendo's too much riding on this for it to suck.
Yeah.
So that covers most of the bits and pieces. Pretty solid Nintendo Direct.
But
But
it was very entertaining.
Final Fantasy VII's Cloud is coming to Super Smash Bros. On Wii U and 3DS as a playable character, and it's coming with his own stage.
Yes.
That's
huge.
really cool. That's exciting. I mean, it's just the fact that they put Ryu in and now him. That just opens the floodgates for like any character.
Yeah, I have so many things to say about this. I'll try not to be too drawn out. But first and foremost, I know the general populace doesn't care about this game anymore, but this is like sucks because Cloud was by far the second most requested character to be in PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale.
Oh, okay.
Behind Crash. And he wasn't in. They obviously asked for him. They would be stupid if they didn't go to Square Enix and ask. Like, it's very obvious. And Square Enix didn't do it. Cloud wasn't in. No Final Fantasy anything was anywhere near that game. And obviously Smash is way bigger than PlayStation All Stars. I'm not saying that it's not. But that sucks that... Whatever. Anyway, this is awesome. Cloud is in Smash Bros. It's weird, though, because the Final Fantasy VII Remake is PlayStation exclusive on consoles. The game is coming to PC. But, so the Final Fantasy VII has never been on a Nintendo platform. Final Fantasy used to be a PlayStation exclusive. I mean, a Nintendo exclusive, but Final Fantasy VII isn't. I don't think Cloud has ever been on a Nintendo anything. So that's so weird and so random, but they couldn't have picked a better character.
Oh, yeah. One quick thing I want to add before we continue. So there's going to be a Wii U bundle with Splatoon and Super Smash Bros. And the console for $280. That's
Damn.
insane.
That's crazy.
Now I'm wishing I waited to buy Wii U because...
Think about all the time that you've put into it, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
This is
That's
such
a
a
great
good
bundle.
deal that it feels like, wow. And Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS collectively has sold almost 10 million copies. That's pretty great.
That's crazy because there's probably only like 13 million Wii U's out there.
Yeah, or 15 million.
Yeah,
It's-
but I forgot about 3D. Or like for a second, I didn't realize 3DS. There's way more 3DSs than
Yeah,
that. So.
most of the sales have been 3DS with 6.19 million units for 3DS and about 3.39 million units for Wii U. I'm getting this information from eventhubs.com, so to be clear.
All right.
But that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Cloud looks great. It looks like they definitely nailed his look. It looks like he has a great moveset. I love that they have his brake system, which name is completely escaping me for some reason. But have you ever played? You said last week that the PlayStation 2 was like your first major console that you owned, right?
Yeah,
So-
excluding like a Game Boy Advance and stuff, but
Right. So have you ever played Final Fantasy VII?
no.
Yeah.
I'm just excited about it because I get excited about Final Fantasy even though I don't have any. I have this weird attachment to the series even though I've only played 10x2 or 10-2. Sorry. 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I've only played Final Fantasy VII is one of the games that escaped me as a kid for some reason, and I got into it a couple years ago. I bought it on Vita and PS3, and I thought it was great. I couldn't finish it for whatever reason, one reason or another. So I don't want to seem like a poser, like huge Final Fantasy VII fan. Like I'm not, but like it's just exciting. Like Cloud is one of the most famous video game characters ever, and Final Fantasy VII is one of the highest selling video games ever. So like this is just a huge pickup, and it's great that Nintendo is going even more outside their realms to just make Smash by far the greatest roster of video game characters ever assembled.
Yeah, it's sweet, and we're getting a huge Super Smash Brothers dedicated direct in December. That's pretty interesting. I don't know what that could possibly be.
Yeah,
Like zero clue.
Yeah, more characters. They did do that voting thing, where you could vote on who you want to be the new Smash characters.
Oh man, like everyone put Goku or like other characters that just are not going to get into the game. If they
Goku
put
would be
Goku in the game, I would buy 5 NXs. Quote me on it.
All right, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Oh my god.
But you got to think Cloud was one of the most voted for people. So I'm excited to see who else. If I'm hoping maybe King K. Rool from Donkey Kong Country is in there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's like so many characters. It's Shovel Knight. They announced a Shovel Knight amiibo, so maybe he can be in there. There's only one Shovel Knight game, so I know there's a lot of other characters that deserve it more. But people love Shovel Knight,
Yeah.
including me. Yeah, like just watching the video, they nailed Cloud for sure. Like all of his moves look so cool. Like it was obvious, but I'm glad that he has the Buster Sword. That's one of like the weaker weapons in the game, but it's like the most iconic by
It's
far.
the iconic one. So
Yeah, and it gets me even more hyped for like I still own Final Fantasy VII, but now that there's a remake, I'm just not gonna go back to it. I know I should go back and play the original and finish it, but I'm just gonna wait and have Final Fantasy VII remake, the full awesome HD like new game basically.
Yeah.
On PS4 be like my first full Final Fantasy VII experience.
That's
And
how I feel about Knights of the Old Republic. Like I feel like we're getting some sort of remake of, if not exactly the same, but reignition of the Old Republic moniker.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to play Knights of the Old Republic because it's like $10 on Steam, but I'm also like, but I feel like I get this feeling that they're gonna announce really soon that they're gonna come out with the new one. Anyways, not Nintendo related, but
it's not
how you feel about Final Fantasy VII is kind of how I feel about this. Except we actually know Final Fantasy VII is coming out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll never forget sitting in my living room with my friends and seeing that trailer and just thinking like, what the hell is this? And then seeing Cloud walking forward, like that was like one of the greatest oh shit moments in E3 history.
I know. Oh man, I was excited, and I've never played that game. I have no emotional attachment whatsoever, and I was excited.
Yeah, you just know like
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. Like it's every single year for the past like decade. All you see is like, why do you not do this, Square Enix? Why do you not do this? It would instantly make you guys rich beyond all your dreams. Like everyone would buy this game. And then they had the huge tease at PlayStation Experience last year. The funniest thing ever when Square Enix came out and they basically like they did it, and they showed Final Fantasy VII, the logo on the screen, and the whole room like exploded. And then all it was just the PC version from years ago.
Yeah, it was like an HD filter on it.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and it
wow.
was and then everyone just was dead, and it was like one of the biggest trolls in video game history.
Like, come on! I feel
it
like,
was so funny.
Do you think that the reaction to that is what said, "Okay, we should do this"?
Maybe, because that game is like brand new. Like that game's not coming out probably until 2019, so it's possible that in that 6 months they just threw together the idea and the trailer and put it out.
Oh god, so ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, like I'm the same as you. Like I've played it, so I kind of have a little bit more of attachment to it, but it's not anywhere near my top 10 favorite games of all time list like it is for a lot of other people. But you just know it's one of those games where it's just huge.
Oh yeah. So I think
Cloud was a great pick for this game for Smash.
Definitely, I'm excited to download him. When is he coming out?
I don't know. I don't think they gave a release date for him. I'm gonna check, but yeah, I don't see any release date for it.
I'm not either.
The stage looks cool too.
Yeah.
Oh no, my phone's ringing. But the stage looks great too. I could have swore I saw a character from like one of the Aeons from Final Fantasy X in there, but I might be wrong about that. I probably am because it's like Midgar from Final Fantasy VII, so I don't know why they would throw other Final Fantasy characters in there, but maybe they did. I don't know. I actually haven't bought any Smash Bros. DLC yet, which is weird because I play Smash all the time.
Oh, I got Ryu.
But yeah, I need to buy Ryu. I should buy Mewtwo. I don't really care about Lucas, but I can't. I'm definitely getting Cloud, and I hope he comes out soon because that's gonna like reignite my love for Smash Bros. Again because it doesn't take much. And it's gonna be awesome. I'll probably buy Mewtwo, Cloud, and Ryu all at the same time. They're $5 a piece, right? Or $4? They're $4 or $5 a piece.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So it's nothing crazy. So I think that wraps up the Nintendo Direct, right?
Yeah. I think that's about it. I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, they said that they're going to, like you already mentioned, they're going to do the Super Smash Bros. Direct in December. We'll obviously, again, have a big episode on that because I'm sure it's going to be great. But yeah, that's it. A lot of hype for Nintendo. It was a great Direct. Even though they still obviously never mention the NX, it's hard not to just get excited about it because you know that it's in the very near future. But from there, I think we want to move away from Nintendo and talk a little bit about Fallout 4 because that's definitely the biggest game out right now. And I love it. So, Ben, did you like make up some questions for me or something?
I came up with a couple. I've been. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm just gonna give some first impressions. I'm about 5 hours into the game, so nothing crazy. And I know that millions of you have played it and bought it and listened and but I actually didn't play Fallout 3 very much. I actually kind of disliked it, so I'm coming at it from kind of a unique angle because so many people played Fallout 3. So yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I've heard some complaints about the graphics. They look fine to me in video. I know that Bethesda in general, their games don't look quite as good as other games, but usually that's for other reasons. They're also using a really old game engine. So I wanted to know what you thought of the graphics so far.
I kind of agree. The people that say that Fallout 3 looks like Fallout 4 are crazy. Like, if you go back and you look at Fallout 3, even Fallout New Vegas, which is newer than 3, like, they look so much worse. I think other people have said this before, but I think Fallout 4 looks like you remember Fallout 3 looking. Like, when Fallout 3 came out, it looked really nice, and, like you said, Bethesda, they never put out graphically beautiful games, especially people's faces.
Or games that really run well in general at all.
Yeah, they do put out buggy games a lot.
It's amazing they get the high reception they do with how like flawed they are from a programming perspective. But I know I had a friend tell me it looks like early 360 graphics, and I'm like, all right, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, people are insane. Like this, it definitely isn't one of the most beautiful games ever, but it looks really good. I think it definitely looks like a PS4 game or an Xbox One game, but people are just like way overcritical these days, and in the Twitter, like, social media life that we live now, people like over exaggerate everything, and this game could never exist on an early 360 build.
Yeah, like, I mean, an early 360 game is Oblivion, and that game looks way worse than Fallout 4.
Yeah,
and it's by the same company, so people need to calm down, I think, a little bit. I mean, it probably doesn't look as good as like Battlefront. But,
oh no.
But Battlefront also has like a 1/100th of the content.
Probably, yeah, that's probably pretty close.
So that game looks pretty skimpy and light on that front, but so it feels like it's jam-packed. So going off the graphics, what did you think of the stability of the game? Like, did you run into any bugs or anything like that?
I ran into a few of the reviews that I read knocked it for having like major bugs. I fell through the world once, and that just happened yesterday.
All right, but you played 5 hours of the game.
Yeah, I played 5 hours of the game, and I already fell through the world. But it was weird because like I was hiding in a corner, and there was like suitcases set up that I couldn't walk over, so I like jumped, and I was in between the two suitcases, and then I couldn't move, and then I kind of just fell through. I fell through the floor, and then fell through the ground that the floor was sitting on, and like then just fell and died. So, but other than that, like I haven't really seen very many bugs at all. Like old Bethesda games have like game crashing bugs, game breaking bugs, or just like weird things that you see throughout the world in general. I haven't really seen much of that at all. Everything, like even the like texture clipping, like or like someone's arm going through the wall or something. Like I haven't really even seen that. Like in VATS, when you go in slow motion and blow somebody away, like everything hits everything how it's supposed to. And like maybe I've gotten lucky or just haven't played enough, but this is easily the least buggy Bethesda game I've ever played.
Yeah, Skyrim was pretty buggy. I mean, I've had the game like completely not even start for me. So
yeah,
that's good. Well, you haven't really gotten into the other Fallout games, so I was going to ask you how the gameplay compared. It feels
way better. Like Fallout. I remember how Fallout 3 feels, and it felt like they focused on gunplay and gameplay last. Like they did everything and then did the fit, like how everything feels. This one feels way more like a well put together single player first person shooter. Like it doesn't feel, it's not as good as Destiny or Call of Duty. It doesn't feel like that, but it's like a huge step up. The thing that drove me away from Fallout 3 the most was I just wanted to do like melee combat mostly. I basically wanted it to be another Skyrim or Oblivion at that time.
Yeah.
And because the gunplay just felt terrible, and it like instantly drove me away from it. But with this one, it's way better, and it feels really nice, and aiming is good. I'm still towards the beginning, so a lot of my guns are just terrible, but I know it's not the game's fault. It's because of just where I'm at. But I think everything feels great. I love how I play in first person. I think you're crazy if you play the game in third person.
Oh, I played Skyrim in third person.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like playing
wow.
games where I'm upgrading my armor and being forced to play in first person.
Like, I agree that I'd rather see my character, I guess, but I think Bethesda games specifically, they just like feel really weird and clunky in third person.
They definitely do, but I still enjoyed Skyrim in third person.
Okay, fair enough.
So what do you think of the story so far?
The story's fine. I'm not too far into the main quest. Your minor spoilers. The main quest for me is I'm trying to find my son Sean, which is weird that his name is Sean. And like all the main quests, or the side quests that I've run into so far, are really well fleshed out. Like there's a Minutemen side quest where there's this group called the Minutemen, and for a while I thought that was the main quest, like because of how you're introduced to them and how they like help you out with different things. Like I thought that was the main quest, and I was doing that so much, but then I realized that it wasn't. I should be doing this other thing. But all the different characters, there's random events that happen. That everything feels like so fleshed out, and the fact that there's dialogue now, like your own main character didn't talk at all in Fallout 3, so he actually talks in this one, and he or she, and that alone like just makes the story so much easier to get into. Yeah, I really like everything that they're doing with it, and it's easily keeping me interested. Like Fallout 4 is the game I think about right now, like when I'm at work, or even right now doing this podcast, or even if I like take a break and play a different game, like I think I need to get back into Fallout 4 to see like where everything is going to go from here.
Awesome. All right, so what are you hoping for from the game as you move forward?
I hope that I find, well, for starters, I hope that I find some guns that I enjoy using a lot, like really soon. Because all the guns that I have right now, except for like maybe one or two, are pretty garbage. They give you an option to join the Brotherhood of Steel towards the beginning, which is like kind of like the army of the world right now. But it didn't seem like something I wanted to do. But they don't give you the option to just abandon it altogether. Like I said, I don't want to join, but that mission is still like there. I can't just get rid of the mission. Right. So maybe eventually they'll force me to do it. I don't know. But I hope the story gets a little bit more involved than just, I need to find my son. Like, I can't wait for more things to come around. Like, I know eventually I'm going to have choices. Like, different groups are going to be going after each other. Like, the Minutemen are going to be going against maybe the Brotherhood of Steel, or the, what's it called? I think, the Institute. Like, there's so many different factions. I can't wait for all of them to start interacting with each other. I know it's a huge game, so 5 hours is like nothing really. Something really cool. This is also a minor spoiler. It's not really a story spoiler, but it's just like one of those wow moments in the game. The game takes place in Boston, and
interesting.
There's the main city is called Diamond City, and when you go there, it's actually Fenway Park. So, which is really cool because it's like a baseball diamond, so Diamond City. And it looks like it's really, I don't know, I'm not a big baseball fan, and I'm not from Boston, so I don't really have any attachment to it. But I just thought that was so cool to like get let through this huge gate, and this like one of the biggest settlements in the world now is just like, or in that area at least, is Fenway Park. And it was just like really, really cool moment to have. And if I was from Boston, I think I would like bring a tear to my eye maybe. It was great.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. So
Yeah.
I hope that you get what you want out of the game, but it looks like it's getting very high praise all around, with the exception of its instability. So, you know,
Yeah, it's getting good critical praise, but I think a lot of like, at least from what I've seen, I know the internet is more negative, and maybe it's only like 5% of the consumers, but I see Fallout 3.5 get thrown around so much, and it's like, maybe if you spent 500 hours in Fallout 3 and now you're getting this game, sure, it's more of the same, but it's a sequel. Like, what do you expect? It can't. I don't know how you expect it to be any different. Like, you can't expect every game to have a jump from, like, I don't know, Jack and Daxter to Jak 2, I guess, to have a terrible example. Like, it's Fallout 4. It's gonna be a Fallout game. I don't know how you can expect any different. And, like, sure, the graphics don't look like The Order 1886, but they look way better. Everything feels way better. It's a completely different area for a completely different story. Like, I just don't know what people's expectations are, and I think that's the biggest problem in video games today by far. Besides, well, as unfinished games getting released, but second biggest problem is people's expectations being through the roof, and no game will ever be able to match anyone's expectations ever again.
yeah, I think it kind of works in conjunction with the inflating budgets issue. Is companies feel like they have to spend all this money on a game and sell millions and millions and millions of copies because the expectations are so high. But I think that it's the industry's fault that they've bred an environment where people care more about graphics. And granted, people should have some personal responsibility and realize that graphics aren't the most important thing. It's about the content of the game.
Yeah.
But I think when you're making graphics more important than performance and content, and I think that's a huge issue. And I think those expectations are to a certain extent unreasonable. Um, the shift there needs to be a huge shift from graphics to other things, but it would need to be like an industry wide collective decision, because if just one person doesn't, then they're just going to sell less than otherwise. It's a whole problem, but
Yeah, it really is.
you know,
Ah.
it's frustrating because personally, I mean, I like good graphics, and I think that if a game is going to suffer in other areas, I would like the game to look good, but that's not the most important thing.
Yeah, definitely. But graphics definitely matter. Like,
Oh, they
and
do for sure.
the Fallout 3.5 isn't just because like what people say, is definitely not just because of the graphics. But the example I always use is a game like The Last of Us. I don't think I could ever have that emotional of an attachment to a game like if the like let's say The Last of Us was the same game like story wise, but it was an 8-bit game. Like, I just don't think I think or even if it looked like a bad like a PS1 game, just the fact that it looks so good makes everything seem so much more real, and you can get attached to it. Like, I know, like Chrono Trigger or old Final Fantasy games, people really do have a high emotional attachment to like Nintendo games, the NES games, but it's just different. I think graphically, it really does matter how if you're going for a realistic looking look. I think
No, I
the
agree.
more realistic, the way better.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right.
Yeah. So the whole and gameplay versus graphics shouldn't even be like to just take a video game and boil it down to something that basic just seems so stupid.
Yeah, because there's so many factors that go into it.
Yeah.
My
You
thing
don't-
is that if like one thing had to be sacrificed, it should be the graphics,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true.
because ultimately you don't have a game without gameplay. Whereas you can have a terrible looking game, but if it plays well, you'll still have people coming back to it. I mean, it's part of the reason a lot of these old games are so successful, like Mario Brothers and Pong and things like that. They don't look good, but the gameplay was innovative for the time or new, and it draws you in. And I think ultimately that's what matters the most. But graphics are important. Graphics, sound design. I think there's like an old saying about movies where like sound is and the music is like 80% of a movie, and that's so true to a certain extent. And I think you could kind of apply something similar to games.
Yeah, sound design in
Graphics.
games are like so important now too. Like, especially now that so many people have home theater systems or like 7.1 surround sound, or with all these new headsets coming out, like sound design is like right up there with graphics as well. Like if a game sounds bad, it's these days it's really obvious. So, yep, that's all I have to say now about Fallout 4. The more I play it, if I ever feel like bringing it up again in the podcast, or if Ben ever decides to buy it, we can definitely get back to it. But I hope everyone is enjoying it, and just I think Bethesda did it right. Like they haven't been hyping this game up for 3 years. They announced it this year. They announced it like 6 months ago, and they just rolled it out. I hope more companies do that. I don't want to know about a game 3 years before it comes out. Announce the game in April and release it in September or whatever. Like, I think that's like the perfect trajectory of a game's hype.
Yep. So, is there anything else you want to?
There is. I want to talk about October sales numbers.
Great.
We'll close out the show with October sales numbers. We got NPD in. The biggest piece of news coming from this is that Xbox One outsold the PS4 in October, which is, I think, the third time that's happened since both consoles came out. I think this is either the second or third time that Xbox One outsold the PS4. It was kind of obvious. I think everyone expected this, even though PS4 has obviously been trouncing Xbox One every other month almost. But Halo 5 came out in October. Sony has no major console exclusives for the rest of the year, unless you count Uncharted, or recently, and for the rest of the year unless you count Uncharted, but those are all old games. Whereas Microsoft has Forza and Gears and Halo and Tomb Raider. So Microsoft is definitely gonna cover some ground this holiday season. I don't expect them to get anywhere close to PS4. But, good on Microsoft and Xbox One, definitely, for, they have a great games lineup this holiday. They keep deeming it as the greatest games lineup in Xbox history, and that might be true.
Yeah.
Because, they have all of their... I know Gears of War is a remake, or not even a remake, a remaster, but, they have a ton of console exclusives coming out this year.
And they're working on tons of backwards compatibility. They're really trying... And
yeah, they are.
If I cared
really
about
killing it this year.
Xbox exclusive stuff, then I'd be all over this. If I was an Xbox guy and I was waiting because I didn't feel like there was any games, then this would sell me for sure. And it almost did. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm like, kind of want an Xbox.
Yeah, I definitely want an Xbox One. I obviously consider myself more of a PlayStation fan than an Xbox fan, but the only reason why I don't own an Xbox One is because of just it's too expensive for me right now.
Yeah, I can't do another
I don't have
console.
I don't have that much disposable income. I hate the whole console war thing. It's way played out and stupid. But Xbox is really killing it, and it's good to know that in the future, in the distant future, when I finally do buy an Xbox One, it's going to I'm going to have a great library of games.
Yep. Definitely. If you strictly on PlayStation, Xbox doing so well is actually good for you too, because the competitive nature of it will force PlayStation to get it into high gear also. I mean, I think they've already been in high gear, but I think it'll make them look at Xbox and try to one up them maybe. So I think that even if you're just a PlayStation fan, that this is good news.
Yeah, easily. And Xbox One is still doing great. It gets skewed because it's selling maybe half as much as PS4, but Xbox One is still selling more than the Xbox 360 and the PS3 were when they came out, this far into their life. So it's still doing awesome. It just seems like it's not doing so great because everyone talks about how it's losing the PS4, but I'm sure Microsoft is still pretty happy with their sales numbers.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And moving away from hardware, NPD also released the top 10 games sold for 2015. And if you know how NPD works, they always put the game and then in parentheses the consoles, and they put the consoles in order of what they were sold on. So for example, NBA 2K16, it says PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3. That means that's the order of it sold most on PS4 and worst on PS3. So number 1, no surprise, Halo 5 Guardians.
Yeah.
As we talked about last week, that game's breaking records, and of course it's Halo. No, nothing more to say. Number 2, NBA 2K16 on PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3.
That's no surprise.
Yeah, NBA games always sell so much, and they always get like so high praise. Like 2K, every single year they kill it with that game. Number 3 is Assassin's Creed Syndicate, PS4, Xbox One. The Assassin's Creed train is still going, no matter how much people say they're sick of it. Game still goes.
People still love them.
Yep. Madden NFL 16 is still going strong. PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3. And then something I'm glad to see is number 5 is WWE 2K16, PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3. Then FIFA 16, PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3. And then after that is Destiny, the Taken King. I can't believe Destiny is still selling as amazing as it is.
Yeah, especially with all the negativity surrounding it.
Yeah, I think they said like they have millions and millions of people still playing the game every day.
It's awesome.
Yep, it's great. And the Taken King coming out really helped it for sure. It was like a year 2 rebirth of it. That's selling best on PS4. And then Yoshi's Woolly World, it's good to see on here at number 8. Of course, it's a Wii U exclusive. Number 9 is the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection on PS4. And then something I'm very happy to see is number 10 is Rock Band 4.
Awesome.
Selling best on Xbox One and then PS4. I was really nervous about Rock Band sales numbers because, the whole fiasco with music games getting canceled and kind of risky bringing them back, and I was really worried to see how they're going to sell. But it seems like Rock Band's doing fine. It outsold Guitar Hero, which is good, at least for me as a Rock Band fan this generation more than Guitar Hero. That's different in the past. But so hopefully Rock Band 4 is a platform, and they want to support it and make it better for years to come. So it's good to see that it's selling well, so that they actually will follow through on that. And that's the top 10 list for October. No real surprises. Maybe Rock Band is a surprise. Actually, I think Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yeah, I was gonna say Woolly World's surprising to me. That game looks fun. I just don't want to drop $60 on it.
Yep.
That's ultimately what it is. If that game cost $40, I would get it in a heartbeat.
NPD, they put out a little footnote that said when ranking software on a SKU basis, Super Mario Maker would rank in the top 10 for the month. So I don't exactly know what they mean by that. Like, I know what a SKU is, but I don't know how maybe they incorporate bundles, and I don't know. So maybe Super Mario Maker would be number 10 and Rock Band 4 really wouldn't be in the top 10. It's weird to see Minecraft not on here, because Minecraft has always been in the top 10 since it's come out, really, and it's still like the biggest game in the world. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the top 10 list.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm glad Woolly World's on there. I'm glad Rock Band's on there. Halo 5 and NBA, kind of to be expected. There's no surprise there. But yeah, that's interesting. That's good.
I can't wait for next month, because I'm really, really curious to see what sells better between Call of Duty and Fallout. And I'm curious to see if Rock Band maintains. I know it'll for sure get bumped out of the top 10, but I'm curious to see its sales numbers to see if it's still doing well.
I think Battlefront has the potential to be up there with them.
Yeah, and I was just about to say I want to see how well Battlefront does, because Call of Duty, Battlefront, this is the first month of the year, I think, where 3 games all have the potential to be number 1 between Battlefront, Call of Duty, and Fallout. Because EA is predicting 13 million with Battlefront, which would probably put it over Fallout.
They get 13 million, they better give us free maps and stuff, because game is like not very much content.
Yeah, but we're getting a free map on December 1st.
Yes,
so that's a good start.
Yes.
Yep. So I think that about wraps up our show. Starting next week, we are going to end, maybe not each show, but we're probably going to start ending the show with a new segment we're going to call Top 5, where we're going to have different random video game topics, like top 5 bosses of all time, or top 5 fighting games, or top 5 levels, top 5 anything we can think of. And we're going to end the show with our own top 5 list of that. So that should be fun, and we could have some. Of course, you can leave your lists in the comment section. Tell us what you thought about the Nintendo Direct, some surprises that you thought you saw with October's sales numbers, if you think Microsoft will ever catch up to PlayStation or to Sony with the PS4. And let us know if you think that the Fallout 3.5 garbage is getting a little bit out of hand and people should just lower their expectations.
I don't know. I think I wanted to say I don't know if people's expectations are too high so much as their perception of this new game is just incorrect. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it seems like the graphics are this bad. I'm like, no, they're not. Objectively, they're not. You can look at it. They're not that bad. Right. You know, like there are these things that are like weird. I don't know. Many people feel that way. If you disagree with Miller, let us know. I mean, we're not opposed to disagreements here. So
yeah. Please disagree.
Yeah, no, disagreement's good. It makes for interesting discussion. I don't have Fallout 4, so kind of looking at the consensus and looking at what Miller's saying. But overall, it seems like it's a pretty solid game.
Yeah. And of course, leave us questions. You can tweet at us at @getsome_games, or leave a comment on the video to let us know what you want us to talk about. Or we love answering viewer questions. We'll if we eventually get enough viewer questions, we can dedicate a whole segment to it. Maybe close out the show with our best viewer questions. That would be awesome. We would love to do that. Please make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to make sure you get this podcast. We have Let's Plays going up. We stream, especially when Battlefront comes out. We're going to do our first review discussion for that. And tons and tons of video game content, because there can never be enough right here on Get Some Games. Thank you very much, Ben, for joining me.
Of course.
Thank you guys for listening. And until next week, long live PlayStation Vita.